Hello, I'm James Goulding, editor of Technology Reseller magazine, talking to Graham Lewis, Director of IP Engineering for Spitfire Network Services. Spitfire has recently produced a series of Tech Talk videos aimed at IT managers and others with responsibility for their organization's internet services. Graham, you've just produced a video on IPv6. Why did you choose that?
Currently, the internet uses IP version 4, but we have now effectively run out of address spaces on IP version 4. So the whole of the internet is going to have to move to IP version 6. And it's been around for 10 years now, and most IT managers know they should be doing something about it, but it's been on their to-do list, slowly working its way up the list for a number of years. So what we thought we'd do, just to help people prompt them along, is to give them just a very brief overview. The videos are only a few minutes each, so they can just quickly dip in, remind themselves if they don't already know what IPv6 is about, and then perhaps that'll prompt them to actually do something about it. So they don't have to invest a lot of time learning about this whole new technology. They can just dip in, have a quick look at these videos, acquaint themselves with how it all works, and that just hopefully gives them a bit more confidence to take the next step in deploying IPv6.
And who is this video aimed at?
They're aimed at mainly IT managers, and IT managers know they should be doing something about IPv6. They possibly have their managers now asking them, when are we going to do something about IPv6? But it's one of those subjects perhaps they don't feel entirely confident about, so they just want to nip away, have a quick look at a video before they go back and tell people what the next step is.
Could you tell me a bit about port forwarding for beginners?
Port forwarding is a technique we use currently with IP version 4 to try and conserve address spaces. So we've now run out of address spaces on IP version 4, but in order to squeeze the maximum out of it, port forwarding is a useful little technique we can use that makes web servers like mail servers exposed to the internet, but behind one public IP address. So it's a useful conservation technique, but it's one of those techniques that IT managers need to try and get to grips with to make the best use of their current address space.
Could you give me a brief explanation of MPLS VPNs?
MPLS, multi-protocol label switching, well, it's fantastic buzzwords. We have lots of people turning up and saying they want to have MPLS without actually understanding what it is. And I've seen people happily sit in meetings where it's quite clear that I'm the only person in the meeting who actually understands what MPLS is and what MPLS VPNs are all about. So the idea of this video is to explain briefly what MPLS is. You can go on a whole week's training course about that, but how a service provider uses MPLS to create VPNs. So when you're sitting in a meeting or you're discussing with somebody technical about how MPLS VPN networks work, you've just got that edge. You know before you go into the meeting that you now probably know as much as anybody else in that meeting room.
And again, who is that video aimed at?
It's aimed at anybody who has to attend a meeting to talk about MPLS VPNs, but it could well be an IT manager or somebody making a purchasing decision about MPLS, and so you're going to have a series of vendors coming in and explain their offerings. You can just feel that little bit more confident about when the vendor starts talking. You can perhaps ask one or two smart questions instead of just sitting there and taking it all in and just feel as though you're on the receiving end of a sales pitch. Now you can sit in a meeting and talk with a little bit of authority about what an MPLS VPN can do for your business. So you've then got them on the back foot. And all we've had to do is invest hopefully 10 minutes of your time to understand it. So you're not having to go on a long training course. You're not having to sit and read a book for a weekend. Just watch the video, 10 minutes, you're done.
Why is quality of service on the LAN so important?
Quality of service on the LAN is quite often the last thing that people think about. People think about quality of service on broadband services and on their servers and on their WAN services, but quite often on the LAN it's neglected. But nowadays, with people doing more and more things on their LAN, higher bandwidth things, video, we're starting to see that occasionally quality of service on the LAN can become an issue. What we did in this video, we wanted to give a practical demonstration of how we do QoS on our LAN inside our own office. You can read lots of books on the subject and QoS gets very technical very quickly. So what we wanted was a practical guide of this is what we've done inside our own business, where we've got a multi-vendor environment, we've got an Avaya telephone system, we've got Cisco switches, we've got Yealink handsets. How do you make all those work together in a qualitative service environment? So it's just a practical guide to some of the challenges we came across and that we had to overcome when we did it practically.
Could you tell me a little about how to install WordPress on Spitfire web hosting?
It's estimated that something like 30% of websites on the internet are hosted on WordPress. So it's a useful piece of software to have installed. And quite often we have customers come to us who just want to have their website on WordPress in a WordPress environment. So what we can do in Spitfire web hosting, we have a one-click installation for WordPress. So it's a very quick video just to show people how to log into their Spitfire web hosting, install WordPress, and away they go. They can be up and running in 10-15 minutes.
Thanks, Graham. That's great. All the videos Graham has talked about today are available to download by clicking the button here.